A stock explodes by 1,200%, a desperate global hunger for power, and one company with zero revenue at the very center of it all. Oklo's stock just exploded, up more than 1,200% in a single year. But here's the catch. The company has zero revenue. How does that even make sense?
Some are calling this the dawn of a new nuclear age, fueled by AI's insatiable demand for energy. And Oklo? They want to be the poster child of this so-called nuclear renaissance.
Their promise? A miniature, self-sustaining nuclear reactor that could power the AI revolution. A vision so compelling, it's convinced Wall Street to bet billions.
But behind the hype lies a brutal reality. Regulatory roadblocks, skeptical experts, and a technology fraught with historical challenges. This is the other side of the story.
The future is ours for the taking.
This is a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah. We have serious concerns about the stability of this.
Okay, so let's get right into it. We're talking about Oklo. Is this company the future of clean energy, a genuine promise, or is it all just a multi-billion-dollar house of cards, a huge peril? That's what we're going to unpack today, because Oklo is right at the center of this huge new debate around nuclear power.
All right, first thing you need to see is this number, plus 1,200%. That's Oklo's stock performance in just 1 year. And no, that is not a typo. When you see a number like that, it just screams for an explanation, right? It's basically the spark that lit this absolute firestorm of attention on Wall Street.
And that leads us straight to the central question of this whole explainer. I mean, how on earth does a company with literally zero revenue become a multi-billion-dollar story? It just doesn't seem to add up. Well, to get the answer, we've got to zoom out and look at these massive forces that are completely reshaping our entire energy world.
So, part 1, a new nuclear age. And really, it all kicks off right here. People are throwing around the term nuclear renaissance or a new nuclear age. And what's driving it? A completely unprecedented hunger for power. You can thank the explosive growth of AI for a big chunk of that.
And listen, this isn't just hype from a few startups. This is serious. I mean, check out this quote from a joint memo between the US and the UK. They straight up said, the world is at the dawn of a golden nuclear age. You know, when governments start talking like that, you better believe it signals a massive policy-driven shift is underway.
And it wasn't just talk either. They backed it up with action. This thing, the Atlantic Partnership for Advanced Nuclear Energy, it's a huge deal. It's basically designed to fast-track new nuclear projects, especially these things called small modular reactors, or SMRs. The whole point is to cut through the red tape, boost our own supply chains, and, create the perfect tailwind for a company. Well, a company exactly like Oklo.
Okay, so we have this big global push. Now let's talk about Oklo's grand vision. How does all that momentum feed directly into what they're trying to do? Well, the company has basically positioned itself to be the poster child for this whole nuclear renaissance.
And this comparison right here really gets to the heart of Oklo's whole argument. See, on the left, that's the experimental breeder reactor 2. It was a sodium-cooled fast reactor, and the key thing is, it ran successfully for 30 years. On the right, that's Oklo's sleek, modern Aurora powerhouse. So their pitch is, hey, look, what we're doing isn't some crazy new experiment. It's just the next step, an evolution of technology that's already been proven to work.
So what is this Aurora powerhouse? Well, in a nutshell, it's a compact, liquid metal-cooled fast reactor. The key things you need to know are its size. It's pretty small, just 15 to 50 megawatts electric, and this is a big one, it's designed to run for up to 10 years without ever needing to be refueled. Think about that.
But the tech is only half the story. Their business model is just as interesting. They're calling it fission as a service, and it's pretty much what it sounds like. Oklo handles everything. The development, the licensing, all the upfront costs. They own it, they operate it. The customer? They just sign a power purchase agreement and get clean electricity or heat. It's meant to be that simple.
And this is where the vision gets truly ambitious. Oklo isn't just talking about building new reactors. They're also planning to recycle used nuclear fuel. We're talking about taking what we currently call waste, which, by the way, still has over 90% of its original energy locked inside, and turning it into brand new fuel for the power plants of the future. That's a total game changer if they can pull it off.
Okay, so that's the beautiful, ambitious vision, and you knew there was a but coming. It's time for a reality check. Because beneath all that hype, the risks here are absolutely massive. And the road to actually making money is,
well, it's anything but a sure thing.
And nothing says reality check quite like this quote. It's from a former commissioner at the NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. When Oklo's first license application got shot down back in 2022, he called it the worst flameout he had ever seen. I mean, wow, that is a truly brutal assessment, especially coming from the very organization they absolutely have to get on their side.
And the numbers themselves, well, they paint a pretty tough picture. This is what you'd call the bear case for Oklo. First, no revenue. They're not expected to be profitable until 2028 at the earliest. They're also burning through a ton of cash, somewhere between $65 and $80 million a year. That means they have to keep raising more money, which dilutes the shares of everyone who's already invested. And, maybe most concerning for some, executives, insiders, they've been selling their shares.
And that leads us to this massive conflict over the timeline. On one hand, you have Oklo saying they'll have their first plant online by late 2027. On the other hand, you have industry experts and former regulators who are, let's just say, deeply skeptical. One of them called that timeline beyond optimistic. It's not credible. They think just getting the license could take 4 years, never mind building the thing.
Then there's the actual technology, the sodium challenge. You know, Oklo talks a lot about the safety benefits of using liquid sodium as a coolant, and there are some. But that choice also comes with a whole history of headaches. See, sodium is super reactive with both air and water. That can lead to some really complex, really expensive safety and maintenance problems. And it's an issue that's been a thorn in the side of similar reactors for decades.
So, where does all this leave us? It's a pretty high-stakes gamble, right? In this final section, let's try to put all the pieces together and figure out where exactly Oklo fits into this new nuclear landscape.
This table, I think, does a great job of putting everything into perspective. When you look at Oklo next to its competitors, the level of risk just becomes crystal clear. You've got NuScale, which already has its SMR design approved by the regulators. Then you have a giant like Constellation. They're profitable, they pay a dividend, they run the biggest fleet in the US. And then there's Oklo. In this group, they are without a doubt the high-risk but potentially high-reward speculative bet.
So let's bottom line the bull case here. The nuclear revival is absolutely real. That part isn't really up for debate. With the crazy energy demands from things like AI data centers, the world has this massive, growing need for clean, 24/7 power.
But, and this is the critical part, the path for any one company to succeed is just incredibly difficult. Especially for a pioneer like Oklo, with technology that hasn't been proven at a commercial scale, the road is long, it's unbelievably expensive, and it is just littered with regulatory and technical landmines.
And so that leaves us with this one final, massive question. The world is betting billions of dollars on this nuclear renaissance. That much is clear. But who's going to win? Is the future going to belong to the established giants, the safe bets that offer stability? Or will it be seized by a disruptive, and let's be honest, incredibly risky pioneer like Oklo? Now that is the multi-billion-dollar question.
So where does that leave us? In a new golden age of nuclear power, who actually wins? The established giants or the risky pioneer? This isn't just a stock story. This is a battle for the future of energy itself. So here's the billion-dollar question. Will Oklo truly power the future or collapse under its own nuclear ambitions?